Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jen, and I am a digital artist who, in the past year, has been able to create a series of seasonal themed coloring books, which have very quickly become the best sellers in my online art shop. You know, designing and bringing these books to life has truly been the most creatively fulfilling thing that I've done as an artist to date. And I really do feel like I'm living out a childhood dream whenever I get to pack these books up and send them out into the world for you to enjoy. These books are, like I've mentioned, my favorite product that I've done as an artist, and I know that many of you are very curious on how I'm able to make one. So today I'd like to share my process from idea to final product with my new summer-themed coloring book, which I am very happy to say is currently on pre-order right now until July 22nd. You'll be able to find more details about that later in the video and in the description below, but for now let's get into how I actually made it. If you know me, or if you've been following me for some time now, you will know that I love keeping my work and tasks as organized and as structured as possible. Creating and keeping a system that is well planned and organized is how I maintain a routine and stay productive, and so here is how I will be keeping track of my progress with a new summer themed coloring book using Milanote. Milanote is a tool for organizing creative projects in a fun and visual way. It's kind of like a digital mood board where you can take notes, collect pictures, add links, and put them all together in a single place. It's actually really great and fun to use, so let me share what my boards look like for my summer coloring book. Okay, so here is the dashboard for my summer coloring book, which currently shows the overview of my process. I have a note here with a tentative deadline that I'd like to meet, as well as some other essential information to help me stay on track. On the right, I have two lists that I'll refer to throughout the project. The first one is specific to the artwork that needs to be completed since it is the primary focus and because I can't really do anything without it. The second is a to-do list for major steps following the completion of my art. Now, with Milanote, you can also embed boards within boards to create subboards, which is just so lovely because you can better sort and categorize the different parts of your project. And they make starting a new board super easy with over 100 different built-in templates available for every type of creative project. Or, if you're like me, you can start with an empty board to customize everything to your exact likings. On my main board, I've made 3 subboards: previous work, art and inspo, and marketing. I'll show you these first 2 now, but we'll come back to marketing later. So let's start with the previous work board. In here, I've imported the images of different elements of my past coloring book, and I have the outer front and the inner front cover art, as well as the color swatch of the cover. This is just nice to have to serve as inspiration for the next coloring book, but also to ensure that the next one is unique. Next to that, I have the past sticker designs that I've created. As some of you may know, with every new coloring book, I like to open up pre-orders. And as a way to say thank you for your support, I've been including a freebie sticker with the first 150 or so pre-orders. So I have these here again for inspiration, but also I have been making each sticker with a special effect. So I have notes here to remind me what I've already used since I like these freebies to be a little bit different than my regular stickers. And lastly, I just have the nitty-gritty details of the coloring book, such as the page count, book dimension, paper weight, etc. This is mostly the physical stuff that I've decided on for my book specifically, and to just make sure that things are kept consistent. In my art and inspo board, I've put together all the things that I would need to reference as I begin to sketch out my ideas. So the first thing I have is a character reference sheet of my main characters in several different poses. This is just something really important to have because you want there to be consistency in your art and your characters, especially when you're doing a series like I am. I've also made a list of ideas for the pages. For my coloring books, I like to include 18 full coloring pages, so before I start creating the book, I've already decided on a theme, and with that theme in mind, I like to brainstorm a long list of potential ideas that would suit the book. So this is just a list of summer-related activities that I could use for the pages, and as I decide on and complete each one, I can just tick them off and keep track of what else I could use. In here, I also have some reference images. These are actually all from Pinterest, and with Milanote's Web Clipper plugin, it's actually super quick and easy to import all the images onto your board directly. And lastly, I have this section for inspiration for the cover. These images that I have here aren't necessarily the idea that I have for the cover art, but I really like the color in them, so I use the color swatch tool to pick out the different shades of blue, which I could later use when I'm actually creating the cover. Using Milanote to plan and organize my creative projects has really changed so much for me. It really is my new favorite tool to use, and I really encourage you to give it a try, as Milanote is available for free with no time limit. So, if you're interested, you can sign up using the link in my description and start your next creative project. Thank you so much to Milanote for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into the summer coloring book dashboard, and let's review the to-do list and begin working on bringing my book to life. As I've mentioned, there isn't much I can do without the art, so first things first, we're starting on the initial sketches. So I'm going to open up my art and inspo board and my sketchbook to get things going. Even though the final art is all digital, I actually prefer starting out on physical paper because it helps me stay loose and I can better focus on the ideas instead of getting things out perfectly during this stage. So to kickstart the process, I like to do rough pencil sketches in my sketchbook first to work out the layout and composition for each idea. I also like to divide the pages in my sketchbook in half so that I can do 2 sketches per page. And I like to do this because I don't want to spend too long on these initial sketches, so I like keeping them smaller, and also because I can see multiple ideas all together at the same time. This just helps me get an idea for what order that I might want to put the pages in later in the process. The first stage of creating a coloring book takes me about 1.5 to 2 weeks to complete because while I work out the ideas, I also like to collect reference photos so that the next steps can go by a little bit easier. After I have at least 18 sketched out ideas, I then move on to the next stage in my process where I take these rough sketches and make them into more refined digital sketches on my iPad. My drawing app of choice is Procreate since it is the app that I've been using personally for years to do all of my art. So to set my canvas up and get the correct dimensions, I like to reference the template that I get from my own manufacturer. My books are all 10 by 8 inches and they are perfect bound with 40 pages each, so the template that I get will be specific to these needs. And by using this template, I can ensure that the page will be the correct size, and I can make sure that all the art stays within the bleed and cut lines. For my pages, I also like to have a black border, so I just copy it from one of the pages from my past coloring books and paste it in here. The last thing that I like to copy into my canvas are the sketches of my characters' heads. I made these sketches for my first book, and I've continued to use them in every book to make my sketches. And this is just for continuity in the character designs. The brush that I like to use for sketching is the 2B pencil that already comes with Procreate built in. And I have edited the brush, and the only thing I've edited is I put the stabilization and streamline at about 80% each. This helps keep my lines smooth just enough where they're not too wobbly but also not extremely stiff. It's just what I find best for me to make these refined sketches. And so the purpose of these digital sketches is to finalize the composition of the pages and decide on the final details that I want to include. I will reference my rough sketches throughout this process and also the photos and images that I've collected to work through my list of ideas. I also like to keep the different elements on different and separate layers so that I can quickly and easily move objects around as needed. And these sketches usually take me about 1 to 2 weeks to complete because I like to take my time with these, and I like to keep my lines as clean as possible because, again, I'm just trying to make the next step a little bit easier. Once I finish all the refined digital sketches, I then move on to what I think is the easiest step in the whole process, the final line art. For my final line art, I've been using the Studio Pen brush on Procreate, which I've also edited. Again, I just adjusted the streamline and stabilization, but here I have them set to max. To begin the line art, I combine all my sketch layers and lower the opacity on that layer, and then create a new layer on top of that. There's no real order or method to what I start and end with, but again, I do like to keep my separate layers for all the different elements, because at this stage, to me, it's useful because I can easily erase mistakes and slightly shift things around if I need to. This part will usually take me no more than a week to complete, and it's easily the most satisfying part of the whole process. With every new book that I've released, I've also held a pre-order where I offer an exclusive freebie sticker with the first 150 orders. It's just a fun extra gift for me to express my gratitude and appreciation for your support. Usually, I like to take a reference from one of the pages from the book itself to be the design of the sticker. And for the summer coloring book, I decided that I want to use the frog riding a jet ski to be the design. I'm not going to go into full detail on what brushes I use or my full creative process for illustrating a sticker like this, since I've already made a full dedicated video on how I illustrate using Procreate, so I'll leave that video linked below if you're curious to learn more about that. I usually make my stickers myself at home, but since I need a larger amount than usual, and because these stickers will use special materials, I've decided to outsource the production of these. So once I have a finalized design, I then decide on what special effect I want to use for the sticker. In the past, I've done holographic, I've done a glitter one, and the most recent one I did was a transparent one. So to pick something new, I go through the sample pack from the manufacturer and decide on what I want to use for this one. For these, I decided on using a prismatic effect, and so I can just send off my design to the manufacturers to start production. Now the last, but a very important step in the process is creating the cover art. Up until this point, I've been doing a lot of sketching and drawing, but aside from the sticker design, I haven't really done a full illustration yet. So deciding on and creating the cover is always a lot of fun, and I usually spend a good amount of time bringing it to life. Since my first book, I've used one of the pages from the book as a cover, and so for the summer coloring book, I've decided that this beach scene where the characters are building a sandcastle together will be the cover. From the initial sketch to the final art, creating this cover took me about 9 hours to complete. The breakdown would be about 1 hour for sketching, 1 hour for the line art, and the rest of the time was spent adding the colors, shading, and all the details. All of the books have the same cover layout, so I simply reuse those elements, but change the cover art, the main color of the cover, and of course the text. The back cover has also been the same across all of my books except for the colors, so that's again just a really easy change to do. And for the inner cover, I like to do a pattern design that includes various elements from the book that relate to the theme. Once I finished all the arts and designs for my coloring book, I can then start putting the book together and prepare it to send it off for production. I do make a lot of the products from my shop myself at home, however, I've been outsourcing my coloring books since the first book, simply because I don't have the time, energy, or the space to make them all myself. It's just easier for me to send it off to a professional manufacturer to produce them for me. I really recommend taking your time when you're researching and finding a manufacturer that you're comfortable with. And I know many of you have mentioned to me that you're not even sure how to begin that search, so I want to give you some of my suggestions of things to consider when you're looking for a manufacturer. To start your search, I suggest looking at local printers to see what they can do for you. If you don't find anything nearby that you're satisfied with, you can always broaden your search to printers in your country. Ask for samples, and once you find a manufacturer that you feel safe with, Make sure to follow the instructions to ensure the best quality of your products, because I know it can be scary to invest in new outsourced products, but it is one of those realities that we face as small business and shop owners. And so for me, before I send anything off, I combine all the pages into a single canvas on Procreate so that I can arrange the order of my pages and double check that all the lines are complete. And once I have them all set, I will then add the table of contents with the titles of the pages onto the color swatch page. I will then export the file as a PDF, airdrop it to my MacBook, and upload it to my manufacturer's websites, review the details once again, and submit my payment. They will then review my files and double check that everything looks good, and within a few days, the books are sent to production, and I eagerly wait for their arrival. As the owner and artist running my small business, I'm not only responsible for actually creating the coloring book, but I also have to think about how I can promote/market it and get it in front of my audience and potential customers. The good thing is that I've already released 3 coloring books, so figuring out what to post is actually pretty easy for me now, and I've compiled my go-to examples into my marketing board on Milanote, so here is what it looks like. Let's start with short-form content, specifically Reels and TikToks. I have these 6 ideas that I like to do for every new book release, and I've imported these videos onto my board directly, which is actually so convenient, because in the past I would have to either scroll on my feed or pull out my external hard drive just to reference these videos, but now I can just have them all in one place. I've also added notes under each one to remind me what each video is about and what to think about when making a new one. The first kind of video that I like to make goes out while pre-orders are open. These videos are a kind of draw with me where I do the final line art for any particular page while I talk about the inspiration behind that page and give details about the book and pre-order. These are great to get people interested and potentially reserve their early copy and freebie sticker. I typically do maybe 2 to 3 of these during the time period that the pre-orders are available. The next set of content ideas go out after the official launch, so I'll do one video where I talk about the details of the book and share clips of me using and talking about it. I'll then do another video that's kind of like an ASMR unboxing and flip through. These are really quick and easy to do, and my audience seems to really enjoy these, so it's really fun to make. I also like to release a pack of 4 principal coloring pages, so I'll also make a video announcing when those are available. And another good content idea that I like to do are packing videos. I do at least 2 of these with every book. One where I pack an order with just the newly released book, and another where I pack an order with all the available books. So once the summer coloring book becomes available, and if I get an order with all of them, I'll make a video packing all 4 books. And the last kind of video is a color of me where I color in one of the pages of my coloring books. These are actually my favorite kinds of videos to make relating to my books because I get to spend time actually using my coloring book and begin to fill them up with color. In addition to video content, however, I also like to include static posts on my feed. For example, I like to do a carousel post of my favorite colored in pages from all my books, or a carousel with images of the most current book that showcases the cover and some of the details within. I also use these photos as the product photos for the listings on my website, as well as the announcements that I make in my newsletter. And lastly, I also like to make a couple of posts to share on my Instagram stories. I think it's a good thing to utilize stories too, because I can put a link directly to my coloring book, so it's easy for everyone to find. And so the key for my marketing strategy is to make it fun and interesting. And I do that by sprinkling in parts of my story and inspiration. By sharing more about the why and the how, I found that people can resonate better with my journey and support my dreams along the way. Depending on how many books I order, production and shipping together can take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. I don't have the summer coloring book currently in my hands yet, but I do anticipate having them within the coming weeks. I already have a spot for them actually on my shelves to stock them once they get here. And so creating a new coloring book, as I've shown, can be a long and involved process, but it has always proved itself worthy of all the time and energy spent on it once I finally receive it, and then to carefully and lovingly pack them up and ship them off to their new homes. So that's my whole creative process from start to finish and how I keep track of my progress using Milanote. If you'd like to try out Milanote for yourself in your next creative project, you can do so by signing up for free using the link in my description. And if you're interested in reserving your copy of the newest summer coloring book, it is now currently available for pre-order. And if you're one of the first 150 people to reserve your copy, you'll also receive an exclusive freebie sticker. Details will also be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a creative rest of your day and week ahead of you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!